Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm recording this at the end of 2024. This past summer was nightmare fuel, but there was something positive that came out of it. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. We got 5, 6 months of 100-degree weather almost every year now. I was all alone and I was grappling with COVID 19. And also, after I recovered from COVID 19, I got poisoned working with a pewter alloy and serious illness on 2 occasions, all alone, and heat wave. I'll never forget that combination. And just before the summer, I had a huge falling out with a group of friends, and I what had happened was I had been going to this meetup group for a year and a half, and I had lost my patience with trying to network with people there. Long story short, it was two problems. It was probably the wrong group, and second, I didn't speak up for myself. Now, fast forward 6 months later, I'm just recovering from lead poisoning, and weather is starting to cool down. And I learned that two problems. Number one, I learned it's a lot easier for me to talk to somebody one on one. I cannot talk to a group of people. I'll sit down, I'll try to introduce myself. Before I can even say my name, my conversation has been overruled by the rest of the group for some reason. I'm not a very uh, obnoxious person, right? I was reading on Google Answers, what do you do when that happens? And Google suggested that you need to just shout out, "Excuse me, I'm not finished." I'm not going to do that. And so it's very easy for me to talk one on one. Now, when I go to a meetup group, good luck trying to talk one on one with somebody who also just joined today, right? I learned it's best to introduce myself to the leader of the group. And also, I learned that once I get to build good rapport with the leader of the group, it is not that tricky to ask the leader of the group, especially if it's somebody who has similar background, right? An Asian American works with similar uh, uh, works in a similar field that I do, to see if there's any networking potential, and maybe to even set me up on a blind date, right? And I've learned that it's a lot better to do that than to spend a year and a half being frustrated to the point that you end up getting into a fight with somebody. What had happened was I had been playing at a board game meetup when I got into a huge disagreement over this guy's attitude toward disabilities. I have food allergies, and it's one thing if he doesn't want to accommodate me. I'm sorry, I don't want to accommodate this. I probably wouldn't have taken it that hard. But when he started to say that, why am I even joining this meetup, and that maybe I should die, right? And he said that he had a friend who committed suicide because he couldn't quit drinking or something like that, and maybe I should do the same. And I got very frustrated at him, and I shouted some obscenities and did some things that I shouldn't have done. Let's put it that way. But I think I took it way. I think I allowed things to get too out of control before I did something about it, and I need to figure out what to do about my conversations being completely overruled. I was at a meetup. This one was a lot smaller, only 5 or 6 people, and I ran into a similar problem. And it was a discussion about my favorite subject. Trump had just won the week before, and the others were talking about how they were stocking up because of the tariffs. And I wanted to mention my art projects and how I had stocked up on half a ton of bismuth and a bunch of foil paper. And I literally only wanted to say 2 sentences, and I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even get my mouth open. It was like it was like a tsunami of words just prevented my mouth from opening. And that wasn't so upsetting. Where it really bothers me is at the workplace. I'll sit down to a meeting, and I've learned when I go to a work meeting to not even try to talk anymore. I just bring a notepad and write down what I want to say and pass it out. And usually I'll make sure the keywords are in big letters so that it will catch people's attentions and they see something they like, and that will become the next subject. If I try to say, I have this idea, I can't even get to the word idea before my voice gets completely overruled. I don't know why. I've learned that I'll just jot down the idea on paper. Hey guys, and usually the big word is in big letter. The very important word. Let's say I had an idea that, for example, there's a huge bug in the grading software that we're using, right? I'll put bug in big letters and write down what the issue is, and maybe I'll still speak it out, but it'll be on paper so they can look. The nice thing I love about paper is people can speak and read at the same time, right? They can't speak and listen at the same time, right? And does it look weird? Sure. But you know what's more weird? To not get the idea out there and for somebody else to steal the credit eventually. And I don't know if this is something I need to work on or if it's just something I need to work around, right? I've been kind of working around it, talking to the hosts directly. So, for example, for a Thanksgiving party, people like to arrive fashionably late. I usually try to call the host and make sure I can go there 5 minutes early. I don't want to put too much stress on them and just show up, obviously. But I'll call the host and say, "Can I come 5 minutes early? I just want to make sure everything's in order. I got things that I want to help you set up." And then I'll use the 5 minutes to have that one-on-one conversation, because that's the best conversation I can have. Part of the reason I love that blind date idea is I can't ask anybody out on a date. I'll say 3 words and then somebody else will overrule the conversation, right? In a group, let's say I go to a Thanksgiving party alone and there's a girl there I want to ask out on a date. Maybe she even wants me to ask her out, but I can't get that conversation in there. There's too much distraction. And where it gets really scary is you got an elaborate thing you want to tell, and you don't want it to get misconstrued halfway through. I can't tell you how many times I hesitate on even starting a story because I don't know if I'll get a chance to finish it, right? You can imagine how asking a girl out on a date could be a problem if you're going to get interrupted halfway through and the message is going to be misconstrued or feel awkward in some way, right? Just like when we were discussing about Trump's tariffs, I, I I couldn't even tell about my art projects, and people are wondering why I'm bringing up the kind of art that I'm making. I couldn't even get to the idea that most of my art comes from China, right? And so it's just weird, right? All right, maybe I'll do some writing next time. Maybe I'll pass a note to the girl at a busy meetup as well. Well, that might not be a bad idea now that I think about it, right? I don't know. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.